Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. So yeah, in this video I'm going to be talking about my top 10 favourite movies from the year 1978. So yeah, this was again another amazing year. There were just some great movies that this year had to offer. Really hard compiling the list on this one as well. But yeah, we're going to get into 78. These are just, my personal favourite 10 movies. This isn't the right list. There's no right or wrong here. Just my personal favourite list. Yours are going to differ, and so they should. But yeah, these are all in accordance again with IMDb. They've all got 78 against the name. And of course, I'm going to leave down below my list of honourable mentions, the movies that didn't make the cut for me. But yeah, these are just my 10 personal favourite movies from 78. So yeah, that being said, I'm going to kick it off now with number 10. So coming in at number 10, we've got a movie by John Landis, and that is National Lampoon's Animal House. Yeah, just a really, really great, fantastic comedy from the late 70s, starring, of course, John Belushi. Yeah, just a fantastic, fantastic comedy. Those kind of wild, zany college dramas that spawn so many movies after it. Porky's, Revenge of the Nerds, those types of films. This was the one I think that really sort of kicked that genre off. But yeah, it's just a great movie by John Landis, and I really, really enjoy this comedy. I just think it's a great film. It's probably so high up on my list because it's not one I go back to a hell of a lot. But yeah, for me, it's just a great comedy that I wanted to throw in on this list. So coming in at number 10, we've got National Lampoon's Animal House. So coming up next at number 9, we have Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Yeah, just a great creepy sci-fi movie. Just focuses on people being overtaken and by this sort of alien entity, and it's just really, really creepy. Yeah, this has got a great cast in it as well. With this movie with Donald Sutherland and Leonard Nimoy, it's just a fantastic creepy sci-fi movie. The ending to this movie as well will just send shivers down your spine. It's absolutely horrific. But yeah, really, really done, well executed sci-fi movie that I just, again, really, really enjoy. Creepy vibes to it, creepy story to it, and I just think it's a fantastic remake. I do prefer this one over the original, but yeah, I still think this is a great movie. So yeah, that is my number 9 pick, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So coming up next at number 8 is a movie I saw fairly quite recently, and it is The Silent Partner, starring Elliot Gould and Christopher Plummer. This movie also has a young performance in it from John Candy as well. Yeah, just this great sort of bank heist type of movie. Christopher Plummer is just absolutely terrifying and menacing in this movie, particularly when he's in disguise. He plays this bank robber, and just his eyes alone, the guy just radiated this terrifying element to him just with his eyes, and he's horrifying in this film. He's just absolutely so brutal, particularly what he does to a couple of women in this movie. It's really uncomfortable, but he is so brutal. And yeah, the movie's a lot of fun. Goes under the radar quite a bit as well, but yeah, this was just a really, really great, enjoyable, tense thriller. And Christopher Plummer's the star of the show in this film. He's absolutely fantastic in it. Terrifying villain. And yeah, just really love this thriller. So yeah, that is my number 8 pick, The Silent Partner. So coming up next at number 7, we've got Gary Busey in The Buddy Holly Story. Yeah, this is another one of those great musical biopics about Buddy Holly, and you've got Gary Busey in the starring role, and it just sort of tells a story about him and the Crickets and how they were, how they got signed and how they were getting their music played on the radio and doing their live performances up to sadly his last live performance that he did before he got on the plane and tragically died. Yeah, this is just a great film, and it's a really wonderful musical biopic. It's up there with the likes of The Doors and Bohemian Rhapsody. It just really does it justice for me, and I really enjoy this film. So yeah, that is my number 7 pick, The Buddy Holly Story. So coming up next at number 6, we have Watership Down. One of the best animated movies to come out of the 70s. I think this movie is obviously notorious for looking like a kid's movie and absolutely horrifying children with some of its imagery and its music and its sound. But yeah, I think that's what is so admirable about this film is its unapologetic brutality with its characters and what it does and what it shows you. It's just absolutely horrific, the imagery in this movie, but I wouldn't change a thing about it. It just looks absolutely brilliant in spite of all of that. And yeah, it's got great characters, great story, wonderful animation, great cast to it as well. Obviously, the inclusion of John Hurt, anything he touches turns to gold, in my opinion, whenever he's voicing a character. And yeah, just an overall powerful film. So yeah, that is my next pick, Watership Down. So coming up next at number 5, we have Midnight Express. I love this movie. I just think it's fantastic. Great story, great premise, following this guy who was smuggling drugs, who ended up getting caught and being thrown into this Turkish prison. Speaking of John Hurt, he plays a supporting role in this movie as well. And yeah, it's just a great film about a guy who is stuck in prison for smuggling drugs, and he's being told everything by his lawyer that we're going to get you out soon, we're doing everything we can, and things just don't go the way he wants them to, and it's really harrowing and heartbreaking. And yeah, just some of the things in the prison are just absolutely horrific in this movie, and what the guy goes through when he's told by the judge he's not going to get what he wants. But yeah, it's a brilliant film, really suspenseful opening, and the execution in this is just brilliant, and I love it. So yeah, that is my number 5 pick, Midnight Express. So coming up next at number 4, we have Grease. Yeah, this movie for me is one of those movies that every time I watch it, it gets better and better, and I have so much more of an enjoyable experience the more and more I watch this film. Yeah, I just think it's great. I think Olivia Newton-John, God rest her soul, and John Travolta have amazing chemistry in this movie. The music in it is absolutely fantastic, even though some of it might get on some people's nerves by today's standards. But yeah, I just enjoy pretty much everything that this movie's going for. Even though the cast of this movie do look a little bit old for the characters that they are playing. It's just a fun movie. It's harmless, it's great, it's entertaining. Yeah, I just think it's fantastic, and yeah, just it has a great ending as well at the fun fair, with those songs. It's just absolutely brilliant, and a bit of a weird, ambiguous ending as to what that means. A lot of interpretations over the years, but Grease to me is the definition of an entertaining film. It's just a fun time, and yeah, just really enjoy this one. So yeah, that is my number 4 pick, Grease. So coming up next at number 3, this one was a bit of a difficult choice because this one and my number 2 pick, very interchangeable. It could have gone either way. My number 1 pick was a sure thing, but 2 and 3 were really sort of interchangeable for me. But I've decided to go with this one. This might surprise some people. Coming in at number 3, we've got John Carpenter's Halloween. Just a fantastic horror film, a masterclass in sound design and just effects. I just really enjoy this movie. I think it's brilliant. It's such a simple premise, and I say this a lot, but this movie does a lot with a little. It really just knows how to, execute these techniques in portraying horror and translating it to the viewer. The opening, I think, tricked a lot of people at the time. And yeah, just like I said, the sound design, the heavy breathing is just so unsettling. And Michael Myers himself as the shape is just, he's horrific. He doesn't say anything pretty much for the entire film, and he's so menacing and intimidating. And yeah, it's just a great addition to the slasher genre. Obviously, this was before Freddy and Jason, and yeah, it's just a great horror film. I watch this without fail every Halloween, October 31st. It's a grand old tradition of mine, and I just love the movie. I just think it looks great. So yeah, that is my number 3 pick, Halloween. So yeah, that brings us to number 2 on the list. And like I said, for my number 3 pick, it could have been very, very interchangeable with this movie. So coming in at number 2, we have Richard Donner's Superman. Yeah, this was not my favourite Superman movie growing up as a kid. I was really more into Superman 2. I think it was because as a child I didn't really get the beginning and opening of this movie. All the stuff with Marlon Brando, I wasn't quite sure as what was going on. And it just felt like forever before we got to see Superman. But as an adult, I completely get all that about Krypton, this dying planet, and how Jor-El, played by Marlon Brando, pretty much sends his son to Earth to save him. And he knows that his son's going to have such an impact on the human race with all these powers and abilities. And how we see his character grow. Kal-El go from Clark Kent to Superman, and what he goes through, and it's just a brilliant superhero movie. The effects of it still really hold up. The score by John Williams is absolutely iconic. I'm going to go out and say this, possibly the greatest opening credits to a movie ever. It's superb and sublime. I absolutely love it. Gene Hackman as well as Lex Luthor is great. Margot Kidder as Lois Lane. Fantastic. Just a brilliant cast, and it just really works all around for me. And yeah, just absolutely love this one. So yeah, that is my number 2 pick, Superman. So that leaves us with one movie left, guys, and brings us to my number 1 spot. And for me, there was no other movie from 1978 that was going to claim the top spot except this one. I've never been affected by a movie like this one ever in my entire life. And this is just one that has really stuck with me from the moment I watched it in its entirety. And that is, coming in at number 1, George Romero's Dawn of the Dead. Yeah. I saw this movie for the first time when I was about 8 years old. My dad had recorded this off TV thinking it was Evil Dead. But yeah, I'd seen scenes of this movie prior to watching it in full, and I remember saying to my parents, I really want to see this film. And they didn't know what it was, didn't know what it was called. And yeah, we ended up taping the wrong movie, and coincidentally it turned out to be this one. And yeah, I watched it over 2 nights, and by the end of it I was absolutely terrified as an 8-year-old. I don't know why, something about the way this movie ended really creeped me out. Just how sort of bleak it was. I saw this movie for the first time in an era when I was just watching Disney movies and movies with happy endings, conclusive endings, and this was my first taste of a movie ending with some balls on it and not really taking that happy step and being a bit bleak. And I know the director wanted to go even bleaker with it, but he was talked out of it. But yeah, this was one of those movies where a movie showed me for the first time that not all endings are going to be happy. And yeah, it kind of just left such an imprint on me. I was terrified after watching it. I couldn't really sleep for 2 weeks. It was just really stuck with me, and I was having nightmares about this movie, recurring nightmares about it. I've never been affected by a movie like this one has, and I just think it's brilliant. But the movie itself has 4 main characters that you just absolutely root for, that you want to see. survive this thing. Even though I've seen the movie many, many times, you still root for the movie, the characters in the movie, and you want them to survive. And not all of them do. And you, even knowing that, you still want them to. It's just, it just has that effect on you. It's for me, it's probably the most rewatchable of the Romero trilogy. But yeah, I just love the mall setting in this one. I just think it's great. It's gruesome as well. Anything Tom Savini did effects wise in this movie that he got wrong, he did perfect in Day, in my opinion. But the effects are still great for the time. And yeah, I just love the set, and I love the characters. They have the most generic names ever, but Fran, Roger, Stephen, and Peter. But you just really, really root for them, and yeah, like I said, you want them to survive, and you care about them. You want them to get out of the situation and survive. But yeah, it's a fantastic movie. Probably takes the crown as best zombie movie ever. In terms of from a technical standpoint. Yeah, and not forgetting as well, it's, you know, the movie's social commentary aspects as well about consumerism. But yeah, it stood the test of time, in my opinion. I just really, really enjoy it, and I couldn't pick another movie to be number one for me just because this one has had such an impact on me. And I can just talk and waffle about this movie for hours on end because I just think it's great. But yeah, that is my number one pick, guys. George Romero's Dawn of the Dead. So yeah, those are my top 10 favourite movies from 1978, guys. Gonna leave the video there and say thanks very much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.